In Module 4, we had explored the idea of clustering as an important feature for mass housing design. By studying the case of Dar Laman in Casablanca, we saw how this design strategy could be used to create community and improve the livability of a neighborhood. Now let's expand our perspective on clustering and take a closer look into other cases that have also employed this strategy in different geographical contexts and in different periods of time. The first case takes us to Queens in New York during the period of the so-called New Deal, where a series of programs initiated by the President Franklin Roosevelt were implemented to help America recover from the Great Economic Depression of the 1930s. The Queensbridge houses, designed in 1938 for the New York City Housing Authority, show how clustering strategies can be used to introduce a human scale to a large housing development. The project, for a site with an area of 20 hectares, was based on a single type of residential block, 6 floors high and Y-shaped for maximum efficiency. Despite this limitation, the team of designers created a diverse set of connected blocks, which were arranged in clusters defined around a central playground. With this clustering strategy, more than 3,000 dwelling units were created in 6 different clusters, each with a playground at the center and pathways connecting the blocks. Vehicular access was limited to the streets surrounding these clusters. Clustering strategies were also a key design feature in housing projects designed with a sites and services approach. The case of Charkop in Mumbai, which we discussed earlier in this module, is a good example. But this strategy had already been implemented in the 1970s in the design of La Presita, a new housing settlement built in San Miguel, El Salvador, that was developed by an NGO called Fundasol with the financial support of the World Bank. The cluster layout pattern is clearly visible in the plan of La Presita. Based on a concept study developed at MIT, the plan of La Presita shows a clear organization in communities of different scales. The smaller scale consists of a group of 20 or 30 dwelling plots organized around a central courtyard with a dead-end vehicular access only for community use. Then, each of these smaller groups is combined with several other similar groups to create a cluster. Each cluster is surrounded by streets with commercial facilities and other amenities, with the most important collective amenities located in special parts of the settlement where different clusters meet. In La Presita, the clustering design strategy was used to develop a new settlement in the outskirts of a mid-sized city in El Salvador. But clustering was also a key design feature to design a new village for shepherds in northern Africa. This was the case of El Mader Experimental Village, a project built between 1975 and 1980 close to the city of Msila in the south part of Algeria. El Mader was a part of a governmental agrarian reform program that aimed at reducing the fluxes of migrants from the countryside to the main cities of the country. In El Mader, the basic unit for the clustering strategy is a group of 4 plots organized around a small courtyard intended for ventilation of the service areas of the surrounding houses. Each house faces a different direction. Then, this unit of 4 houses is combined with 3 other similar units around an open space dedicated to the collective use of the community. The next step in El Mader's clustering strategy is to combine these communities of 16 households in larger groups, organized around a generous open space that performs as the heart of each neighborhood. The major public amenities, such as the market and the mosque, are located at the core of the settlements, with easy access to and from any of the smaller groups of 4 households. In the early 1980s, at the time the first inhabitants moved to El Mader, the Indian architect Charles Correa designed the so-called Artist Village in Belapur, in the city of New Bombay in India. Although the project is known the world over as a successful example of incremental housing, it is also a wonderful case study for understanding clustering strategies in housing design. In this project, the basic element of the whole scheme is a module of 7 households organized around a shared courtyard that measures roughly 8 by 8 meters. These modules are then clustered in groups of 3 to create a larger community of 21 houses, which are organized around an open space now of 12 by 12 meters. The next step in Korea's clustering system is to interlock again 3 such modules to form an even larger community, now organized around an open space of approximately 20 by 20 meters. The last stage of the system is to structure these communities around a large public space surrounded by collective amenities such as schools and commercial spaces. In Belapur, Charles Correa has employed a sophisticated spatial hierarchy that is able to create meaningful spaces at different scales, from the threshold of a single house, to the street, to the neighborhood, and finally to the whole township. And although Korea's basic module is simple and efficient, his clustering strategies create a rich layout that successfully avoids the typical shortcomings of mechanical repetition one often sees in mass housing projects in India. To summarize, in this part of Module 5, we have reviewed several projects that use clustering strategies in the design of residential settlements of different characteristics, from a large housing district in New York to a shepherd's village in rural Algeria. Regardless of the scale of the settlement, clustering remains a powerful strategy to create meaningful spatial hierarchy with distinct spaces for the different scales of association, that of the family, community, and neighborhood. It is also a design strategy that can be used to rethink the growth of cities that avoids the predicaments of urban sprawl and lack of adequate social and physical infrastructure. In doing so, and for its potential to create patterns of association that improve the use of land, clustering design strategies can help solve some of the challenges associated with rapid urban growth.